Welcome to Trust the Journey. I'm Jason Maletsky.
And I'm Melanie Curtis.
Our mission is to live, laugh, love, and learn together with you.
We're here to create conscious connections team to grow and contribute through our practice of openness, honesty, vulnerability, humility, and trust, trusting the entire journey.
If you would like to connect with us outside of listening to this podcast, you can find us anywhere on the internet under the handle of trustthejourney.today. That'll get you to our website. You can find us on Instagram, where you can shoot us a direct message if you would like to talk to us and chat. And you can also connect with us on Patreon. We have a group called the Trust the Journey Family, which is a group that you need to join, and it's private. And if you would like to be a member of that and participate, you can make any donation level you would like at all on Patreon, and that will get you into the Trust the Journey family, where we have this wonderful supportive group of people who all love and care for each other and are all compassionate to each other's journey as humans and all the stuff we go through. And you can just express whatever you feel like in that group, and you'll be supported and loved.
That's so true. What an awesome way to describe the family. I love that.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Yeah, guys, you are all welcome. It's community. Community and connection is definitely our mission. So yeah, thank you all for being with us, whether you join us in the family or not. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing these episodes. And all right, here we go. Okay, so in this episode, we're actually going to do friendship part 2. We thought that friendship was such a significant topic. You know, in our experience, the topic in the scope of friendship is so significant and notable. We wanted to continue that conversation. So that's what today's about.
It's awesome. I was kind of digging into the list of things of why I would want to continue talking about this. And I feel like we just scratched the surface in the last episode in a very big way. And I'm so grateful, like overwhelmingly grateful for friends. I think that in life, the two things that are most powerful to me are music and friends.
Yep.
Right? And put them together, it's even better. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like my favorite ever. Like, let's get together and listen to music. Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, let's get together and laugh. Let's get together and make funny movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, that's sort of the note we ended on last week, is talking about those mergings of those two things and the things that we count as high values and high significant pieces in our life. Certainly friends being one of those things. And then merging those with those other things that we individually love so much can be such a powerfully joyful and fulfilling experience. Like I literally laugh for my entire life at the movies that I have made with my friends. And I say the little mini movies because that's just an access for me to hilarity. But like that has brought incessant joy to my life. Anytime I think about those movies or watch them or talk about them with my friends, it brings true joy to my life.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And you, it sounds like with the music and sharing music with your friends.
Yeah, I think it's, if I was going to say like, what's my favorite thing in the world to do, it's really going to be a tight race between any of my favorite things that I might think about that are individualized and getting together with my friends and just stomping and dancing, or even just laying on the couch for hours and like diving into a musical journey, you know, playing music, sharing music, and that connection, you know, that like all being on the same page, that vibration of the music itself, the wave that we're on, the ride that we're on. It's such a powerful journey. And I can easily think back to decades and decades of getting together with friends to go, you know, listen to performers, to go see DJs, to go see bands, you know, symphonies, plays, you name it. Just any time we can go and engage that and share in that together. And I'm so fortunate to be part of a number of different groups on the internet, you know, like different Facebook groups and different groups of friends who exchange music all the time.
Very cool.
So I probably get like, I'd say on a daily basis, dozens of new things to listen to from my friends. That's like, it's part of the connectivity of my friends group is sharing music back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And I love to do that to my friends to be like,
know.
here, listen
I
to this,
know.
here, listen to this. Like, because you get them all the time, right?
I love it. I love it. I'm like, I need it. I'm the person, no joke, Jay, that will listen to one CD. And yes, I said CD. We'll listen to one CD with like 6 songs on it for like 3 years in a row. And it's, I don't know why I do that. I just, I like can get in these musical trenches and it's all good. I like it. Sometimes I'll add a song here, I'll add a song there. And anyway, I appreciate when you share that stuff. And that's something I think that's notable about friendship is for me is that I feel free to share things that interest me or that just pique my curiosity or that I find funny or whatever. I feel really free and open and safe to be able to share that stuff with my friends, not worrying that they're going to feel like, oh, I have to watch this or I have to listen to this immediately or I have to whatever. It's just this very open, again, sort of non-judgmental space to be able to share.
Totally.
Yeah.
Were you ever the kind of person who made a mixed tape?
Fuck yeah, totally.
Totally, right? Like you get your cassette recorder for those of you who've had cassette recorders and listen to the radio.
Yes.
Listen to the radio and wait for when your favorite song starts and like push record so that you could actually record a song off the radio and then you got it on your tape and then you'd have to wait until another song you really like comes along and hit record and you make your mixtape out of collecting all these bits and pieces.
So true.
I like to
true.
give those to people.
Yeah? You'd make mixtapes for people? That was super gift?
That was like my first like DJ as a child kind of thing. Like make a mixtape and be like, hey, I made a mixtape. Here, listen, you know? And I would continue doing that as a young adult, you know, except it would shift it to CDs and I would start figuring out how to put the tracks together, you know, in a way that there was a journey to be experienced there, you know?
That's so awesome. I love that. And yeah, it's so funny these two little tracks that, you know, are shared joys with our friends. It's similar like why I invite my friends to do these stupid movies with me. It's why I invite them is because I'm like, this is going to be, in my belief, a gift to both them and me for us to share this experience. And that's another thing when I think of friendships, not just in the realm of music and laughing or hilarity or whatever, but the intention of making memories. So whether it's in any zone where we want to share an experience, that's been a mega intention that I've brought to my friendships in more recent years is really being intentional about, I want to make memories with my friends. I want to share experiences with my friends. Whatever, I mean, and this expands to my loved ones, my family members and stuff too, for me personally, but my friends are very much included in that. And I think that's just so powerful and so important is that we could so easily, and it makes me think of the top 10 regrets of the dying. One of the things on that list is how people really regret losing touch with their friends. And as a result of that idea, and it's not that I'm just scared into it, oh shit, I better make memories with my friends. It's kind of like, a recognition of that potentiality that if we let ourselves just get on autopilot and do our day-to-day and our to-do lists and our work, and which is all great too, and we don't make that time or intentionally bring those experiences and shared experiences with our friends into our chosen way to spend our time and resources, it likely will not happen.
Are you wearing a sweater with the cosmos on it?
Yes. I got this yesterday and I love it so much.
Awesome.
It's this tiny little sort of crop shirt, so I have it over.
Oh, it's cute.
Have it over a long sleeve shirt because that's how I roll. I'm not really one for a super crop shirt.
I love it. So, one of my favorite things is friendships that have no time. You know, like when you have a friend that you've bonded with at some point in your life. And maybe you don't have that regular connection that you're checking in on a regular basis. Some friends I'd say I talk to every week.
Yep.
Some every month, some every 3 or 6 months, some once a year. And then there's those friends that maybe you don't see for like 5 years. And then, you roll in, knock on the door, and just wander in, sit down, make yourself a cup of coffee, like it's your own home.
Totally.
Kind of thing. And be like, yeah, I'll be right out. Kind of like, it's just that, there's no time involved in the equation, and there's no expectation. I think that's the key underlying tone of all that, is the expectation is non-existent.
Totally.
And that is friendship at its highest level, right? When there's zero expectations placed upon you, it means there's zero judgment. It's just pure acceptance and allowance to just be yourself, be comfortable, come and go at your please, at your leisure, and be who you are. And I'm still going to love you just the same.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, that is buoyed by boundaries and standards. We can't necessarily have that conversation without talking about boundaries and standards for our own individual choosing, like what we choose to have those be. And most of those friends that fall into that category that you just described, in my experience, very much honor boundaries and standards. So like that honoring of you're allowed to be who you're gonna be, it means there's a respect of those personal chosen boundaries if a person decides to have those for themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't be a dick, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really more just saying that, like, just in case somebody's listening and is like, yeah, but because the conversation of unconditional love and that type of unconditional acceptance can easily go the other way. So I'm just saying I'm with you, inclusive of the consciousness of our chosen boundaries and standards that are respected by each other.
Yeah, I would absolutely echo that. That for me comes hand in hand without even having to say, but it's worthy of saying, because we do run into the situations where that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, so, it's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So will you post one of your silly movies in the family? I'd love to see one.
Yes. Oh my God. Of course I will. I'm always so like, it's funny in the family. I'm always like, I don't want to just share all my own stuff. You know what I mean? It's more because I could share all the time. I have so much ridiculous, prolific amount of content. But yes, I would love to share one of my funny movies. Thank you for asking me to do that.
I would love to be able to see one. So yeah, I look forward to it.
There's plenty. Don't worry.
So tell me, what are some of your favorite things? Like if you have to say, and outside of making movies with your friends, but if you have to say, I'm so grateful for my friends because, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind is being there for me, being there for each other. So the mutual being there for one another, like 100%, bar none. You live enough life and you're going to be met with challenges. You're going to be met with those experiences, phases of life where you're like, fuck, I am legit challenged.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? And so until I think you have an experience like that, you don't quite, and this is my experience, so take it with, my own grain of salt, but I feel like until you have an experience like that, you don't really get the depth and power of what it really means when people are there for you. And this makes me think of one of my other best friends who, when I was younger, I think I was like 24. I think I've shared this on the show, but I'll share it again briefly because it's very relevant to this point, is that I was upset about something. It was about like my computer wasn't working or something, and I was oddly upset. I was somewhere in my early 20s, mid 20s, something like that. And he said to me, he was not having it. Like he wasn't like dissing my upset, but he was just like not moved by my upset about my computer. And he said to me, he's like, well, because nothing bad has happened to you yet. And obviously I say bad with sort of air quotes now. I don't really even believe in bad things. I believe everything is for us, as we've talked about many times. But I really was like, I was super annoyed at that comment back then, where he's like, nothing bad's happened to you yet. That's why you're so upset about this thing that doesn't matter at all. You know what I mean? Because he was like 15 years older than me. So he had more life experience under his belt. And so as I grew as an adult and really had my own challenges that felt very deep and real and painful and rigorous, such that you would need people to be there for you, now I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Got it.
You know, what's an interesting thought about that is I'm just going to turn the question back on myself
Please.
for a minute there. And because what you are touching on brought up some really key points for me in my life as a whole and what I choose into as far as my life choices and friend choices and what we choose to do together is I feel like the people that I choose to surround myself with now are ones who also enjoy pushing that personal challenge boundary. So purposefully picking some friends that are up for it
Yep.
and want to go on a mission, right? And the mission is to do something challenging for us that's going to challenge us as people to whatever we're going to do. And in doing so, we're opening up that scope of character, of who we are and what our life experience is. And by choosing friends that also want to go on a mission, whatever that mission is for you or for me or for them, for us, is let's go challenge ourselves together and we'll support ourselves and we will laugh at ourselves when we flail. Yep. Right. And when we are challenged, and we'll be there for each other when we need to be, and we'll take legitimate risks, right? Knowing that that's what we're doing. We're signing up for legitimate risks, and it's going to be an adventure. And when we come out the other side of it, the little things don't bother us as much, right? Because we went and challenged ourselves and we opened up our perspective, our range of experience in life. And I love that. Like, I think that's probably my second favorite thing with my friends is
so mega. Yeah. And type 2 fun. Have we talked about type 2 fun before?
Totally.
I'm like, what have we talked about? I'm like, God, I don't even know anymore. But that makes me think type 2 fun. I immediately think of like your adventure, your expedition to Baffin Island and all those amazing pictures and how you went with your friends and you took on this real mission. And that's obviously a very external, internal, of course, being on an external journey like that. But being type 2 fun, just for people who weren't around when we talked about that or don't know what that is, I just recently learned it. But basically, it's loosely defined as something that is not fun until it's over. But basically, it implies a challenge, right? And so doing something hard like Jay hiking into these crazy mountains in this intense weather, like that theoretically is very challenging. And I would contest you. Please tell us about it. But
yeah, sure. There's a lot. It's choosing into a risky endeavor, right? And in one where you know you're going to be reliant upon yourself to make it through safely, as well as reliant upon the other people to also act at a certain level of consciousness, where we need to be aware of the decisions that we're making and the behaviors that we're having, because they're going to affect everybody's well-being as a whole and everybody's experience as a whole. I love that kind of connectivity. And I'll say the same thing. Even that, going onto nature and doing, epic adventures into nature is a great example. But whether it's like diving into making a band and playing music together and the challenges of trying to share your artistic visions together, or whether you're making an art project or whether you're building something or whether you're, whatever you're diving into. Or the psychedelic journey as a whole, getting together with my friends who also want to challenge ourselves to look at ourselves deep inside and find out where our personal challenges really lie and say, why am I struggling with these things in my life? And the most recent ayahuasca ceremony that I went to, I had two of my very best friends with me.
Amazing.
And it is so bonding, so bonding to be like, okay, guys, let's go open up our can of worms, right? And let's look inside and let's see what's going on. And let's be there for each other while we're doing this and know that this is going to be type 2 fun. This is not going to be a pleasant experience. I'm not going there because, oh, I want to see pretty colors, or I like the idea of just my thoughts roaming around and pretty visions and blah, 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 and flowers and roses, I'm going there because I want to figure out why I have this behavior pattern that I don't like about myself, or because I want to open myself up to being informed about things that I didn't even know I was doing or feeling or holding on to. And these choices to choose into this type of personal growth, intention oriented action, you can do it on your own, but I'm going to say my personal experience, which I've done it alone, but it is so much better to have your friends with you, and to be on that journey together. And I'm going to quote Ram Dass and say, we are all just walking each other home.
I love that quote.
It's the
I love
best.
that.
It's the best.
And yeah, absolutely. There's something very powerfully bonding about getting through something together. And so, yeah, I echo everything that you just said, whether it is that deep internal quest to heal, or whether it is building this podcast, whether it is doing a creative project that you think everyone else might think is weird or stupid, but you want to do, and then you ask your friends to support you and they do, whether it's going to a new place together just to see something new. It doesn't even have to be all deep and meaningful. It likely turns into that, but it could be just, doing something silly and stupid. You could go and play freaking laser tag or something.
Road trip.
Road trips
are the best. Oh my gosh.
Chinese fire drill.
Totally.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's so huge, and such a huge part of my own personal individual fulfillment. Without that piece, that what you just described, what we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes, that is a huge piece of my personal individual joy and fulfillment, period. And so that brings us to the idea of, okay, cool, if that's so powerful for our individual fulfillment, what can we do, or how can I bring more intention to this area of my life and up my memory making or my connecting or my deep work with my friends?
Awesome. You know what's really cool is I made a friend, I think it's probably like 5 years ago now. Time flies, I lose track.
Yeah.
So I made this friend online, and we just kind of started seeing each other in our friend groups, like, oh yeah, there's this person keeps popping up in photos with all my friends, and there's this, there they are again, and there they are again, and just made a shout out and be like, hey, I'm Jay. Hey, how are you?
Right.
I think I would like you because you seem to be in all these situations that I would like to be in, and these are people that I like to hang out with. And so I just reached out, and this is my friend Jamie. He's just the bomb.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I saw you out there doing your life, and looks like a rad life. You look like a rad dude. Like, all right, well, let's be friends, And we've literally become best friends from just
so awesome.
Reaching out across the internet. And so I just wanted to touch on this because it's on the topic of making new friends. Like, how do you make new friends in the world? And as we get older, there's so many different ways, right, that this happens. And this one was just so unique and poignant. And the fact that we've become so connected and so such a powerful, feels like, friendship that has existed for eons.
Yeah.
and so grateful for it. And it's been so meaningful in my life, in our lives, to have this connection. So I'm just saying this to encourage anybody out there who's like been thinking about it, to be like, I kind of saw somebody that I think I'd like to be friends with. Don't be shy. You have nothing to lose. You're already not friends at this point. So it's not like saying, hey, I'd like to be friends isn't put anything on the line. You just say, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you.
And some people feel a lot of anxiety at the idea of trying to make new friends. We briefly touched on this in the last episode about there's sometimes this potential shame feeling around, oh, I should have friends, or I should have a certain level or depth of connection with people, and I don't, so therefore I've failed, or I've screwed up, or I'm not lovable, or whatever gremlin thought or limiting thought might be there for us. So that idea that you just shared, that tip to just reach out and whatever, that's I echo the points, echo it, and I add to it to say, if you hear that, if you're listening to this podcast and you hear Jay suggest that and you hear me say, yeah, do that, and you're like, fuck, that sounds so scary, that is totally normal to feel that. So I bring this up because I've worked with clients over years about this type of social connecting, where they really recognize the gap in their life around friendship, and they also acknowledged and were honest about the feelings of social anxiety, or just straight up personal insecurity around being out there and being connected to other people. So know that that's normal, and know that as we incrementally put ourselves out there to people who seem safe and emotionally safe for us to reach out to, like Jay suggests, or to what meetup group does feel like a fit for us, or whatever kind of way that you're going to attempt to bring friendship or begin friendships in your adult life. It's totally understandable to feel that anxiety, and over time it will diminish as you begin to make these authentic connections. So I encourage you through that first part, which really does require bravery.
The fear only exists inside of our head, right? Like the fear, there's no fear like in the room. Like there's not like an actual wall or something you have to climb over, or an obstacle. It's not a real thing. It's an experience. It's a feeling, and our intake or experiential, that feeling of fear, it might exist inside of us at some point in time, but we all know that fears go away when we go towards them. You know, we walk towards it. It's kind of like it's the scary monster in the closet, and when you open the closet, there's nothing there, but you have to open the closet. You have to go there. And if you just sit back and be like, there's a monster under my bed, or there's a monster in the closet, like the fear just lives there until you go and examine it. And when you examine it, it dissipates and vaporizes. So we just have to remember that and remind ourselves of that, and literally practice doing that. It takes, getting used to doing this with regularity to be able to feel confident to do it without that fear. So
absolutely.
It's a practice.
Absolutely. And it is, I liken it, and I say it's a long game. So just like building trust or deep connection, it can be a shorter term game. And we mentioned this before too, but be patient. Be patient with yourself in this part of the process of making friends and building connection. Recognize that it might take a while. It might not. It might be sooner than we think, but let's set ourselves up for that really patient, long-term building of relationships over time and incremental experiences built. So that I think is a way that we can nudge ourselves out of the nest, as it were, to get out of our houses, to stop watching Netflix so much, to send that text that we are afraid to send, to whatever invitation you're thinking of extending, that you get yourself to the point where you're going to do that. So Yeah. And over time, you don't need to be best friends from one invitation. That is unlikely to last anyway. So just supporting you around the patience part of this process.
I'm going to touch on the topic of something else that I truly value in my friendships. And I am a very affectionate person. I like physical contact. And I feel so hugely grateful for my friends for any time sometimes the simplest thing, and this is something I've really been paying attention to in life as a whole and trying to make a point of being aware of in my life. And of course, I'll frame it up with boundaries and comfort and all the things that people need to be aware of, respect and trust and all those pieces. But you can start as basic as a handshake, shaking hands with somebody, putting your hand on somebody's arm, or having somebody put their hand on your back or put an arm around you, or even better, hugs.
Yeah.
Hugs are like
Hugs.
Hugs. Right?
Yes.
Hugs.
Yes.
Hug people.
We're a pro hug community here in the Trust the Journey family.
I was with Jamie a few weeks ago, and we've got this wonderful deep connection, and we had this awesome embrace that just reached out and got a hand around a forearm and another hand around a forearm and just a nice firm grip on each other's arm. And, it's like a wrist lock, and just such a peaceful feeling comes from this physical connection. And so that's one like very masculine example, right? Of this like my brother, hold this strong man, holding me back, strong grip, I feel the strength in there. And that particular example is really bonding, and it's really powerful. But I can also think of just sitting cuddling with some of my very best friends who I absolutely adore, and just snuggle up and watch a movie and just love just sitting next to each other and having somebody to just lean a shoulder on, laying your head on the shoulder and just enjoy being close to somebody we care about,
Yep.
Oh my God, so important and so good.
And I think completely agree.
So many of us may not realize, or maybe we do, that we suffer from a lack of that physical connection, that contact, and that comfort of just being okay to be close to people. I think the way the world is today, it's less common to be this like close, physical space with other people. There seems to be bigger gaps around, and I'm proactive the other way. I'm like, let's close those gaps.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same. When I want to, because I'm also very protective of my physicality, big time. Not only just being a woman, but just because physical contact for me is also very important. So I share it very freely in terms of hugs and affection when those environments are safe to do so. And I feel that kind of, like, skydiving is a great example of this. Not like I'm going to hug and physically be affectionate with every single person that I meet, even in skydiving. But for the most part, I'm going to hug someone I meet in various realms, whether it's in skydiving or not. Skydiving, interestingly, too, allows us to really, and it kind of forces us to sit in close quarters. We're touching each other a lot because we have to inside of these squished up airplanes. And so I think that closes that physical gap a little bit more too, which is cool, on top of course, the bonding experience of jumping out of planes together and sharing, again, those experiences and making memories and all of those things that help bond us, which then make us feel more connected and safe together. So that's a great, and that's sort of a phenomenon about, I think, the Sky family, is that there's this really rich environment that fosters and supports that type of connecting, not just physical connecting, but emotional connecting. And it's a clear culture of non-judgment, like all these pieces that are really important and powerful for a great friendship to emerge and begin. Skydiving has that. And I think that's why a lot of amazing friendships in my life were born from that community too. But yeah, anyway, I'm totally with you on the physical stuff with friends. It's been something I had to get over. That's something I had to shed, this sort of awkward feeling of I can't hug or cuddle with my friends. I had to really sort of actively, intentionally challenge that in myself. And it is for me situationally dependent for sure. But yeah, it's wonderful to be able to do that with your friends.
As you brought up the topic of, being sardined in the airplanes together, I really realized that was a huge learning for me in my life, especially men, males. There's a huge, at least where and when I grew up, homophobia was a massive thing, right?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. So sitting with another guy's legs around you, like straddling each other of people you don't know,
Right.
or barely know, they're acquaintances rather than, connected deep friends kind of thing. That's a very awkward kind of scenario. And I did tandems for many years, in the 90s. I was actively doing skydive instruction and taking people for their first skydives, doing tandem skydives. And you take somebody and you buckle yourselves together and you tighten up the webbing, and you're, snug right up with somebody.
Yeah.
And that took a lot. You can see it regularly when you're like, okay, whoa, this is a little awkward, because you're smushed up with somebody. But there is something that we learn from that whole experience of kind of get over our human condition of having bodies. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be smushed next to you in this plane because as skydivers, we don't get seats. We all just sit on the floor and in between each other's legs, all in a row. So yeah, it really changes our perspective on things. And I'm really grateful for that. It really changed my perspective in life as a whole about how I feel about being close to somebody.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, that's one beautiful, amazing, wonderful thing about friendship too, is that inside of the space of that non-judgment, that emotional safety, we can challenge these ideas that have limited us, inclusive of, can we touch each other at all? Can we cuddle? And again, physicality is just one thing, but excuse me, it could be lots of things. It could be about the kind of job that we always thought we needed to go to college, graduate, get a job, work the job, buy the house. Like, we could talk about we can challenge those ideas with freedom. Certainly inside any relationship where we feel that freedom. In my experience, there's been a lot of that freedom in my life inside of my friendships that has just been a very safe place for me to explore any ideas that are shaping my choices and are shaping the results I'm getting in my life and relationships.
You know what I really enjoy is the concept. I heard the word used recently, and it reminded me of some circumstances that are not necessarily attached to the holiday per se, but the term is friendsgiving. Right. Which is this, like, how do you, the Thanksgiving is the holiday and Friendsgiving is this kind of version of like, yeah, I'm just going to get together with my friends, not necessarily have it be centered around family per se, as some of the tradition implies, but have it be about getting together with friends to share time with friends and be grateful for that group of friends and to be able to connect and relate. And one of the things that come up for me there is how much I enjoy making it a little too close, like a little awkward. So purposefully placing the table arrangement for a meal so that there's not enough room for everybody.
Oh, I love this.
It's great. I highly recommend this. I highly recommend it. So invite enough people and have only enough space so that you're going to be squished, so that you really can't like even reach for things, and the table is completely overstuffed. and that everybody has to be shoulder to shoulder, so that way you've got that little bit of physical contact, and you're forced into this kind of, well, we're all in this together. We're going to be here doing this, and please pass me the mashed potatoes.
What I love about this idea of Friendsgiving, it definitely challenges the idea of family and all of those things. So it's in line with we're challenging what ideas are sort of commonly held or commonly accepted as society. But what I love about this too is it's in this vein of creating a meaningful gathering. There is a book that I love and highly recommend. It's called The Art of Gathering. It's by Priya Parker. And the idea that, we can get together without intention. We can get together and just whatever, shoot the shit, have some drinks, whatever. All that's great. No judgment. It's all cool. And we can also bring intention to facilitate experiences that then elevate the ability or possibility of deeper connection in that group. And so even if you add nothing else but the physical sort of challenge, quote unquote, the awkwardness or the I'm shoulder to shoulder with someone else, that's an unusual experience for a person. And as such, it might elevate what people get out of it. It makes it meaningful because it is then elevated outside of a sort of predetermined norm or just something that we would expect. And so as a result, we get something from that type of experience. And as a result of that, friendships and bonds are either begun or nurtured and grown. I love it.
Yeah. I actually have that book in my Audible, and I've been listening to it a fair bit lately. I don't know if it came from a recommendation from you, but I really, I feel that the whole point of gathering, it's really important. There's a lot of value to ceremony. Ceremony, the reason why every culture has ceremony is because the simple function of doing things with intention brings value to them. Mm-hmm. And that value cannot necessarily be measured in, say, dollars. It's experiential value. And so we leave having had an experience that enriches us, that deepens our connection with others.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody listening to this right now to think about when and how is the next time that you could plan or host or encourage or get together with others to bring intention to a gathering, to connect with people that you care about, and to have a Friendsgiving. It doesn't have to be on the fourth Thursday in November. Right. It can be any day, every day, all the time of our lives. Like just pick the time and place. Say, you know what? Let's get together with friends next weekend on a Saturday, and we'll have a barbecue, and we'll make it for a reason, and we'll make some intention behind it, and bring people together and enjoy sharing time and space. And
yeah, you can just bring a set of note cards and have people ask certain questions, sort of force the unusual engagement on people. And I say force because people obviously agree to it when they show up. But just to share another side shoot of this conversation. So Priya, speaking of friends, Taya Weiss is one of my very best friends.
She's okay.
Yes, she's all right.
She's okay. I think she knows I think she's okay. Hi, Taya.
Hi, Taya. We love you. So Priya is one of Taya's good friends. And so I attended years ago a meaningful gathering that Taya and Priya put together. And as a result, connected with more people in Taya's life, which was totally awesome. As a result, got connected to Priya and her work. And so now, years later, when she publishes her book, I read it and I'm like, damn, this is good work. Duh, of course. And then I share it with my friends and other stuff. Like you share a bunch of music links and stuff like that, I'm very consistently sharing Audible content, like podcast episodes. I definitely share funny memes, of course, going back to the hilarity piece, but and books that I would recommend to elevate thinking, to help people continue to grow, because I'm so committed to and so immersed in and in love with growing and helping others grow if they want to as well. So
Sure.
yeah, just that connection of other friends and us finding other friends through friends and all of that whole thing.
Sharing functions in the same way as gratitude, right? When we send it out, we get it back. The more that we put out there, as long as we're not pushy about it and like insistent, like you have to do this,
Right.
like if we're just like, I think you would like this and this is cool. I like this. I think you're going to find enjoyment from this here. I do it all the time. I'd say that, I'll be realistic here. On average, I share at least a dozen things a day.
Wow, awesome.
At least. Yeah.
That's
Whether
amazing.
It's books, podcasts, music, funny memes, things to laugh at, just checking in with people, just reaching out and connecting with the people in my life that are meaningful to me. And that, maybe somebody I have a very little connection with that I would like to deepen that connection. Oftentimes that's the case. I sent one just yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or day before. That's somebody that I've never chatted with directly, that I'm maybe friends with on Facebook, but I've never had a one-to-one. And I'm like, I think this might suit this person, and here, off it goes.
And I appreciate when I get messages like that. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? So not everybody will. Some people might receive messages like that and feel like it's a thing added to their to-do list. But I would contest that for the most part, people don't feel that. I think for the most part, people will feel it with that positive value intention, with that in positive connection intention behind it as well.
I also love gifting. I think that's such a wonderful thing, with friends, especially. This morning I was doing some vacuuming before this podcast, because that's what you do when you're a responsible adult. You get your vacuuming done while you have the 15 minutes of free time.
Exactly. GTD, baby, GTD.
Yeah, I was getting my vacuuming done this morning, and I was thinking about my friend Moo, Mr. Moo Tang, who I love so deeply because he's such a he's a ball of light, that guy, right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And he has one tattooed, a great big ball of light in the middle of his chest, so pretty much that's it. And the reason I was thinking about him, because I was listening to one of his mixes on my headset while I was vacuuming, because I wouldn't just vacuum. I got a chance to listen to music. I might as well listen to music while I'm vacuuming, Actually, I just came back from running, so I was listening to music all morning. But Mr. Moo, right? Like rocking, just love this dude. And I had bought a hat for myself because I thought, man, that hat is super cool, right? I'm like, look at that hat, that thing's awesome. And I got all excited and I got myself this hat and I put it on and I'm like, man, it's a really nice hat, but it doesn't really suit me, it just doesn't suit me. And I'm like, okay, put the hat down. Its hat's still amazing. Like, I love looking at it. It's a freaking badass hat, right? It's a super nice hat. And I'm looking at the hat and I'm like, man, that thing is gorgeous. I think, well, I think I might try wearing it when I'm performing. It's like a good stage piece because it's so colorful and it's got all this detail and it's super rad. And then I rolled into the event that we were doing and I saw Moo give a hug and I was like, oh, this hat was for you the whole time. Right. This was never for me. Like, super, as soon as I saw his face and his whole person, and I'm like, this wasn't a gift for me. This was a gift for you. And giving that to him is just made me feel like realizing that what I had gotten, recognized why I liked it so much is because it reminded me of his style and who he is, and and I love seeing him rocking it because I see how much he likes it,
Yep.
And I absolutely love how good he looks in it and how awesome the whole ensemble comes together. And I'm like, man, totally just that. But the whole thing of like, when we give to people that we care about, when we gift to each other with that thoughtful intention of like, whether it's a meme or a message or a book, or whether it's
Yeah.
a physical item, or whether it's a special gift that we make. I was sitting on the couch the other day looking through at a gift that I made for somebody and just reminiscing about how much value there is in that connecting and that giving, and thinking deeply about how that's going to affect the person that you're doing it for.
100%. Speaking of Taya, I have a gift that she gave me right here on my desk. It's this beautiful egg that came from Africa. Here's another. I don't know why the egg shape is a thing on my desk, but this is a gift that my friend Kate, who I went to college with, she got me this years ago. It's this sort of weird egg-shaped thing, but it's got this plastic, and inside there's this skydiving scene. So it looks like there are skydivers in this egg. So it's just this plastic sort of thing. It stands up, but there's this clear plastic, and inside the clear mold are these suspended free fallers over a landscape. And she got that for me so long ago, and I love it.
It's kind of like a snow globe in an egg
Yeah, it's
shape.
just like this cute little thing, but I know it came from my friend, and it was her honoring what I love in my life, which is, skydiving is one of my great loves. Yeah.
Show you one of my favorite gifts I've got right here. This is a soapstone heart from Africa.
Beautiful.
And my friend sent me this spready, and I love this. It's one of my keepsakes. It's about a pound of stone. It's really heavy, but it's perfect. It fits right in the palm of my hand. It's like the size of a little smaller than, say, a hard ball. Maybe like a bit bigger than a clementine kind of size, and it's a blue soapstone heart, and I absolutely love this piece, and I hold it all the time. I would say that this spends, it's in my hand at least 10 or 15 minutes a day. I regularly reach over and pick it up and just fiddle around with it, while I'm working and thinking, doing calls, and that connection is really powerful. And I look over and there's another gift, and there's another gift, as I look around, I'm surrounded by all these little things that my friends have given me, and they mean so much to me. So do it. Give your friends something that you were thinking about giving to them.
It's so true. I have a whale-shaped mug on my desk because Kara is another one of my best friends. She and I talk about this is a longer story, but we have a thing with whales. Just trust me. Trust me for now. And I have artwork from Sarah. It's funny, Sarah, my roommate, also one of my best friends, she gave me this amazing, beautiful art piece. And yesterday, for whatever reason, I was shopping. I got this amazing shirt for myself with the cosmos on it. And I saw this vest that just made me think of her. And I had just bought it for her. I just had to get it for her. And it's not like I do that often. I wouldn't say that every time I'm out shopping, I see something and I think of someone and I get it. It's actually that's not typical for me. But yesterday, for whatever reason, I was like, Sarah needs this. Yeah. So much stuff. So many ways to deepen friendships.
To any of my friends who are listening right now.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to any of my friends that are listening right now, I'm just going to purposefully and poignantly say thank you for being my friend, because I'm very grateful for your friendship. I truly appreciate you as a person and as a being, and I very much look forward to the next time that we spend time together and deepen and further connect our friendship. And yeah, thank you for being my friend.
I love it.
I think all this, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, all the stuff that we learned, like I feel like I'm on Sesame Street or Electric Company when I talk about this kind of stuff, because thank you for being my friend. This is the stuff where we learn as we're little kids, right? Thank you for being my friend.
It's true. It's so fucking true, man. I can't not let this episode finish without shouting out my amazing, beautiful Carolyn Chow. She is definitely a huge part of why I get to make funny movies. one of my great loves in life. She's so much more, I mean, like so critical in my life experience in so many ways. I just want to shout out the piece of her contribution to my life in the form of making these ridiculous films. At first, I did not know how to video edit, and I would look over her shoulder and we would just, I mean, oh, some of the stuff that we made that is not even on the internet because it's so ridiculous, offensive, comical, amazing, and she has a regular job. So we agreed. We agreed from the beginning that we wouldn't put those films on the internet, that we would just share them at skydiving film festivals and stuff like that. So we're happy to share them, but we keep them off the internet because they are just really funny. So if anyone has interest in seeing these films, by all means, let me know, and I'm happy to share them privately and personally with you, because they are, oh yes, they are genius.
I can't wait. Well, I have to do the same. I'm going to give a shout out to my very best friend in my entire life, and her name is Tucci.
Yeah.
And she was my first wife, and her and I made these together. These are little cards, and they say, "You are beautiful," on them. And on the back, they have a golden mean spiral. And we made these to give out to people at random to carry around. We had a party where we invited lots of people over, and we purposely wanted to make sure that we let everybody know how much we care about them and how we think about them. And so this is one of the simple things that we created together when you talk about doing little projects and fun things with your friends. And it's been such a powerful share. And I need to say how important that she's been in my life. I would say next to my mother, she's probably been the next most important person in my entire life. And I am so grateful for her friendship and how it continues to be even deeper and more meaningful and more special, even beyond the context of our marriage. And I think that that's something I would like to make a point of mentioning as a whole, because, friendships, they come and they go in different intensities, right? Like we talked about this in the last episode, like, oh, let's walk together for a while, and okay, maybe let's not walk together right now. We can't expect every friendship to last forever, or the construct of what that friendship means doesn't have to stay the same, right? So we may have friends at some point in our life that have certain boundaries that are open to a certain level, and then at some point those boundaries may change. Maybe we have a friendship that has benefits, and then maybe the person gets into a more coupled relationship and those benefits go away. Or maybe we have friendship that's based around a particular phase in our life that's say, where we're at, what we're doing. This is me, this is what I do. I get up, I do this every day, and this is my friend who does the same thing. And then at some point our life changes, and that's not what we do when we get up every day. And maybe then we're not next to that person who does that, or they veer off and do something else. And there's no judgment related to that, right? And so the deeper point of what I'm trying to get to here is, our love relationships, our coupled or bonded relationships that may or may not have sexuality involved, they may be just whatever, when we're deeply bonded with somebody, it's sometimes very challenging to allow that bond to break. Because we've conceived this idea that things need to stay the same all the time. And so, the coupling or the marriage or the long-term relationship, like these kinds of things, I find it very important. To me, it's deeply important to ensure that anytime I have somebody in my life who I care about, that I love, they're important to me, that they stay that way.
Yeah.
That I'm always able to care and love and consider and be compassionate and think about that person and their value, and that I never villainize them for either of our needs to make our own choices in our lives.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, whether a person or whether a friendship diverges or not, whether it stays the same or remains close, or maybe it's one of those things that separates, and who knows where it goes. But yeah, for sure. Oh, love that. I mean, there's no way I could comment on every individual person that I count as a friend. I feel like there are so many people in my life that I truly count as friends. And yes, there are some people in my life, of course, that are my closest friends for sure, and longest friends and stuff like that, all those various categories, hierarchy. It's just so, I don't know, it's just one of those things of like the value. I wouldn't, it's hard to even talk about that, like, because the friends that all different kinds of friends are important is my point.
What's more important, blue or green?
Yeah, exactly.
Or red.
Exactly.
Or
That's
yellow.
what I'm trying to say. Thank you. I'm like, it's like all of my friends at all the various levels that I have them in my life. And I'm so grateful to have every single one of you, if any of you are listening. It's just, yeah, shit. I don't even know. I got nothing. Like, it's such a profound thing for me that I don't even feel like I have the words to describe it, if that makes sense.
It totally does. That's where things really start to show the value, is when it's ineffable, when you can't find the words, when there's no way to truly wrap description about how important something is to you, when it's just an understood thing that you feel it, you feel it, you know the value. Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like that is the perfect note to wrap this one. The fact that we have no words on an audible format show.
It's probably a good time to stop talking when you've got nothing else to say.
I'm just so happy about my Cosmos shirt.
I think it's great. I'm very happy to see you wearing it.
I'm very happy to see me wearing it too, and I'm very happy to see you, just period. So guys, team, family, we fucking love you for reals.
Totes.
Reals. Thank you for being here, for being with us. Join the family if you want. Share this episode if it's useful for you. If it made you think about a friend that you love and that you think this episode might help, by all means, share it. Go follow us online if you want. Trustthejourney.today. Join the family. What?
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Yeah, I always forget to say that. Subscribe, and then you'll get notified when we publish our episodes and all of that. Jay, anything else?
Just huge thank you. Huge gratitude. Can't wait to spend more time with you. Can't wait to connect more deeply with those of you out there. And right now I have this list of the people that I'm looking forward to spending more time with. And it's vast and broad and for different reasons, But I think that all of us make those lists. Like, literally write the list of the people that you want to spend more time with, especially if they're people you haven't spent time with, or have had fleeting or momentary connections. Like, make excuses, come up with reasons. Just come up with just like, we decided to have to do this now, and go do that.
Fuck yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, the tagline, the end of our show tagline, is so relevant to friends too, So relevant. Keep laughing, keep loving, and keep trusting the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
Love you guys.